Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, August 26th. Drama surrounding the Fed is weighing on markets this morning after all three major indices slipped to start the week. During regular trading yesterday, the Dow dropped 349 points, or just more than 0.75%. The S&P 500 shed 27 points, or 0.43%. The Nasdaq lost 47 points, or about 0.25%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching S&Ps. We're down 0.08%, about 1/10 of 1%. I mean, Trump's news about removing Fed Governor Lisa Cook from her duties at the Fed, that's not positive. I mean, that action really is seen as interference with the Fed's independence. Now, it's likely going to blow over. I'm not expecting this to, create any major havocs in the market. But stacking the Fed with officials who intend on cutting rates for political purposes, I mean, it's going to cause the long-term rates to spike. I mean, if this does occur, but so far they haven't done anything with interest rates, so it's a non-event. Another key aspect for today, this political turmoil in France. I mean, it's a source of concern as the Prime Minister of France called for a confidence vote on September 8th. Markets are also paying attention to a potential ruling that could come, any day now, over the next, month for sure, on Trump's tariff action. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit is expected to make a ruling on President Trump's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, on which was the basis that he used in order to put on the tariffs. They're likely going to say that he doesn't have the right to do it, which means gets kicked up to the Supreme Court. So we got to keep that in mind. Interactive Brokers, IBKR, they got added to the S&P 500. That's positive. Boeing get a big jet order. I mean, with the key economic data point for today will be that home price index that comes out, the Case-Shiller home price index. That's going to be the one to watch. After the bell today, you got earnings reports coming up from MDB, OKTA, Box, and PVH. Tomorrow morning, you got Williams-Sonoma, S.J. Smuckers, DCI, and Abercrombie and Fitch. They're all scheduled to report. Taking a look at the action overseas, and we're looking at Germany real quick, and Germany's down 0.45%. I mean, it's the political turmoil in France that's creating this weakness in Germany. Then you got the FTSE, which is down 0.4%. Remember, they were closed yesterday, and today we get the retailers and the financials and the food and drink stocks moving lower. But in France, France is down 1.60%. And it's really due to political uncertainty. The Prime Minister calling for a confidence vote on September 8th. I mean, it really centers on his plan to implement budget cuts to reduce France's fiscal deficit, which includes welfare, pension freezes. And then that's causing financial stocks to move lower. Taking a look over at Asia last night, and Asia basically saw, losses across the board. I mean, the Nikkei lost 413 points. That's 0.97%. I mean, it was pressured by declines in automotives and the pharmaceutical sectors. You look at Hong Kong, which lost 304 points. That's 1.18%. They had notable weakness in tech, financial, and telecom. But China fell 0.39%. Trading was kind of mixed. I mean, there was tariff rhetoric from President Trump, which did weaken the sentiment a little bit. But you have trade talks happening this week. A trade rep from China is coming to the U.S. this week to meet with Trade Representative Greer. So you got to look at that at least positive because they're at least holding talks. So China wasn't off too bad. But oil, oil is weakening today. I mean, you got it down over 1.5%. I mean, WTI at $63.67 a barrel, and Brent at $67.73 a barrel. I mean, really, it's the latest geopolitical news. I mean, the turmoil in France, it's causing, concern over demand, and risk sentiment is lowering across all markets because of what's going on in France. After the bell today, you do get the API stockpiles data. That's something to keep an eye out on for. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, mixed in that opening is a number of key pieces of information. As you just mentioned, geopolitical news coming out is certainly moving markets and oil. There are a number of economic data indicators that we're going to be following today, along with corporate headlines. But of course, we're also keeping track of earnings action. There's still companies to note there. So, Bill, we will dive in to start. What's going on in terms of earnings action?
Got to start off with Symantec, SMTC, Sam, Michael, Tom, Charlie. They beat by a penny. They did it on higher revenue. You look at the stock this morning, it's up 3.24%. KE Holdings, BEKE, boy, Edward, Kilo Edward, they delivered a beat this morning. They were positive. Their earnings were, positive. And they did a nice buyback as well. Upcoming, we got PVH, Paul Victor Henry. Their EPS is $1.97. Expected move is 12.13%. Then you got Williams Sonoma, ticker WSM, William Sam Michael. Their EPS is $1.78. They're releasing tomorrow morning. Their expected move is 11.87%. PVH is this afternoon, Williams Sonoma's tomorrow morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of upcoming earnings announcements, Emily.
KE Holdings was your pick of the day yesterday. We will dive into more details on that one and do a recap on how that pick went by the end of the show. Now we're going to turn to economic events, a couple of key economic pieces of data to be watching today, along with some Fed speak. And as we both mentioned in the opening, anything surrounding the Fed, especially this new move by President Trump, are certainly things that the market are watching every move when it comes to what's happening at the Fed. So keeping track of Fed speak will be important. So Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
Got to look at the data reports coming out today. 8:30 a.m. we get durable goods orders. 9 a.m. we get the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. 10 a.m. you get consumer confidence. 8:30 a.m. this morning you're going to hear from Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin. Then that could be interesting. And then we're looking at John Williams. He's supposed to be speaking as well this evening, so that could be something. But before the bell, the durable goods report, that's expected to come in with a reading of minus 4.0 for July. Now that follows, the big drop we had in June, which was minus 9.4%. But that was really due to, volatility linked to transportation and aircraft orders. Consumer confidence, I'm not really too worried about. I think that will come in, near expectations. I will be paying attention to that home price index because that one really does have the ability to move markets. President Trump, the news on Lisa Cook, not positive. The market does not want to have a Fed that is, driven by politics. They want an independent Fed. That's what the market wants, and so you'll see the long bond tick up, if this action continues. But I don't think he'll be able to remove any other. He's going to remove Powell. Powell's going to resign at the end of his term in May of 2026. But I don't see any other changes really happening. He is going to nominate someone for, Lisa Cook's spot soon. But I don't. It's not clear that he has the right to, that he has grounds to dismiss her. Because remember, these were allegations; they were not proven. So there's a big difference there. So you can't call dereliction of duty if they're just allegations. That seems to be a little bit of a reach. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update, Emily.
Bill, with your economic updates, you can hear that you're not only keeping track of the day's moves, but you're also able to keep a pulse on what came out historically when it came to that data and what you're looking ahead to. And that is important, especially when it comes to these economic events. And you're doing all of this using your NewsWare. You're also following your earnings action using your NewsWare, and you're still keeping track of other types of news, data, and information day in and day out. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check this morning, Emily. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 18 lower, 12 higher. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm a little strength in Netflix. Everything else is trading a little lower. Looking at some news behind the tape this morning, like Apple said they're in talks with Google to use Gemini's AI model to power a revamped version of Siri. Okay, Amazon. Termu, the low-cost e-commerce platform by PDD Holdings, they're resuming direct shipments from China to the United States following the latest reduced tariff announcement by President Trump. Got to keep an eye on shares of Google. I mean, a court ruling is expected soon on that Google antitrust tariff action, which could, wind up breaking up the company. We don't know, but that could be coming shortly. Look at the Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're starting off with IBM and AMD announced a quantum-centric supercomputing collaboration. That's positive. You look at it, IBM stocks up 0.8% this morning. Then we're looking at Apple. Musk is suing OpenAI and Apple over AI access in the app stores. Boeing, ticker BA. Korea Air is committed to purchase 103 Boeing jets to modernize its fleet. That's a big order. 103. That's a big order. Stock's up 0.5% this morning. BA. In terms of merger news, CSX, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett told CNBC yesterday that he's not planning on buying another railroad. Avery Dennison, AVY, Apple Victor Yellow, they're acquiring Meridian Flooring adhesive flooring business for $390 million. Okay. AT&T. They're acquiring EchoStar Spectrum for $23 billion. I mean, that's a big move for AT&T. So yeah, keep an eye on shares of AT&T. Could be some good things in there. In terms of guidance news, Symantec, SMTC, Sam, Michael, Tom, Charlie, they see Q3 EPS come in at 44 cents plus or minus 3 cents. 3 decimals, 44 cents. That's a good guidance number. It's solid. AT&T, they're back in their full year 2025 adjusted EPS view of $1.97 to $2.07. 3 decimals has it at 205. They did that because of the bid for EchoStar Spectrum. That's a positive thing to do. We're talking about buybacks. I mean, BEKE, Boy Edward Kilo Edward, KE Holdings, they just raised their share repurchasing authorization to $5 billion from $3 billion. So they increased to $2 billion. Not bad. In terms of catalyst calls, IBKR, Interactive Brokers, they're going to be replacing Walgreens Boots Alliance in the S&P 500 on Thursday morning. That's tomorrow morning, the 28th. Thursday morning, the 28th. CMCSA, Charlie, Sam, Apple. That's Comcast. Citibank places Comcast on a 90-day catalyst watch list. Interesting. I don't know if I like that move, but interesting. But that's what I have for you about stocks hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk Pick of the Day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going with Box, ticker BOX, Boy, Oscar, X-Ray. I mean, earnings are out after the bell. EPS is 31 cents. Expected move is 9.71%. If you look at the call volume, and 2567 versus 1896, that's positive on the call side. You look at the open interest, 33K versus 11.9K, that's more than 2 to 1. That's positive, and the major brokers are raising price targets on BOX. So I gotta like that. And then I reread last quarter's earnings report where the CEO said, "Hey, we're at a pivotal moment in history where AI revolutionaries in work and business." I mean, he's all about it. In terms of an entry price, I'm going to say 31.25, give or take, 31.30, somewhere around that. That's kind of like my entry price that I'm looking for. Yeah, that's my pick of the day. Ticker BOX, Boy, Oscar, X-Ray, Box, Emily.
Box it is on an earnings play, and yesterday's play was an earnings play, as I pointed out. In just a moment, we will do a check-in on that pick of the day before we sign off. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, Trump says he's firing Fed's Cook over mortgage loan allegation. That's a hard one to swallow. EU approves Gilead's new injection for preventing HIV, GILD. That's positive. Korean Air makes airline's biggest ever Boeing jet order amid the South Korean president summit. Interesting. And Trump's out there talking about making, he's talking about equity stakes in defense contractors. And this came from Lednick. I don't think that's a good idea, but we'll have to wait and see. DraftKings launches responsible gaming educational month. Seems a lot, but okay. Jones Soda announces limited time launch into select Costco warehouses. JSDA, John Sam, David Apple. Southwest changes its policy for plus size passengers. Okay. mRNA, their media reports indicate that RFK Jr. is planning to pull COVID vaccines here in the U.S. within months. Interesting. Lilly, their oral GLP-1 was successful in its phase 3 trial. That's positive. LLY, Larry Yellow. Norway's $2 trillion wealth fund said on Monday that it's divested from U.S. construction equipment group Caterpillar. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading on this Tuesday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was KE Holdings. As we mentioned earlier in the show, they did release earnings, as you told us. They reported a Q2 EPS of $1.55 that did beat analyst estimates of $1.53. Revenue for the quarter came in at $26.01 billion. Now, this was slightly below the consensus of $26.19 billion. You also told us about that share repurchase program that was increased during your NewsWare Alerts breakdown. Bill, the stock was up, pretty big this morning, up over the $19 mark. It was early our time, but it was up. How did your call work out?
It worked out, I guess, if you look at the numbers. The fact of the matter is the stock opened up at $19.20 yesterday. Then it fell down to $18.67. And then after the earnings, it actually fell down to $18. Now, I had called for an entry price, at $18.50 was really my point. And, this morning the stock is flat. It did hit that. It did hit as high as $19.39 before the release. And then after the release, it did hit 18. And then it's already rallied back and it's trading 18.72. So, if you look at the 18.50, yeah, it did hit that entry price that I threw out there, but it wasn't yesterday. It hit this morning. The gains are there. So I'll call it a flat trade, but it did kind of work out, Emily. It did kind of work out.
Kind of worked out is better than not working out at all, especially with markets down yesterday and seeing some weakness this morning. A little bit of volatility there you could have taken advantage of. So we will call that a flat trade, but we will also check in with you tomorrow about today's box pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.